I grew up with service in my life. I always grew up with this very real knowledge that if there's something that you aren't in accordance with, if you don't agree with something, if you don't like the way something is in your world, then you have to take it into your own hands to change it. You can't just wait around for somebody else to catch on and do it. As a child, my mom and I would go and volunteer at the Philadelphia Book Bank to help provide books to kids in classrooms and to other individuals that needed books. That was kind of my first volunteering experience. And then I was involved in community service with my school in middle school and in high school. But volunteering and service didn't really change for me. It didn't really become part of me until I started seeking it out and doing it on my own. My mom and my sister, they volunteered at an orphanage in Tanzania, Africa. When they got back, they told me that I had to go, that it would change my life and that I had to do it. I spent the month of October at an orphanage in Tanzania where I taught preschool, or they call it playgroup, for ages 2 to 4. Other than playgroup, which was only the morning, all of the volunteers facilitated playtime, which was just all 120 kids playing in the swing set. Sometimes we had to blow up a pool, the library. We also lived in the houses with the children. I lived in a house with a baby boy who was 1.5 years, and 13 boys between the age of 7 and 14. Wake them up in the morning, make breakfast, make sure they all got ready for school, make sure they all ate their breakfast, make sure they all had their school supplies. We would all walk to school together. I had playgroup. In playgroup, we'd play hide and seek. They had bunk beds, and then they had these cubbies where they kept all their clothes. And this one kid, he's this tiny little 2-year-old, and every time we'd play hide and seek, he'd climb up the cubbies and he'd hide in one of the cubbies. And even though we did it every time, the other kids never found him, and it was the cutest thing. He'd hide in there, he'd put the clothes all over himself, and then when the kid seeking would come in, he'd peek out, and it was the cutest thing. Serving's important because you're not just impacting the people who you're serving or the community that you're serving. You can also make a difference in your own life. When I was in Tanzania, I was obviously making an impact on those kids who I was working with. A lot of them were living in the orphanage because they were orphans or because they didn't have a stable enough family life that they could live at home. They needed somebody to give them affection and be there for them. But they also taught me a lot. In playgroup, I learned a lot of patience. I learned when to be a friend and when to be a teacher. But I also learned humility, coming from America and kind of knowing what I have and where I came from, learning from these kids who see themselves as lucky because they have a family, they have these brothers and sisters at the orphanage, and they have the volunteers who come in, and they have the Tanzanian mamas who live in each house and cook for them and take care of them. These kids feel lucky that they have pencils and backpacks and a school uniform. And to me, that was very eye-opening. it made me reevaluate my life. So I think serving can be a collaborative experience. You're not going in and doing, you're working together to have a transformative experience with the community that you're serving in. After I volunteered at the orphanage in Tanzania, I joined AmeriCorps NCCC, the National Civilian Community Corps. It's a 10-month program. It's federally funded. It's team-based, so you have a team of 8 to 10 other people that you're always with. You meet them in training, and then you're with them for 10 months serving together. It's for 18 to 24-year-olds. It's also residential, so you go to whatever base you're assigned to. When you're sent out on projects, you are given housing while you travel around. It's an amazing program. It completely changed my life, not just within service or like my career path, but it impacted me as much as or more than the people that I was serving. But I could spend 10 minutes talking just about AmeriCorps, so I'm going to put the link here if you want to find out more about it. There are a lot of different AmeriCorps programs. You can go to the site to check it out, and I will post another video that's just about my NCCC service. A lot of the people who are involved with Serve and Tell so far are NCCC alums and current members. That's because of my service with NCCC. When I started Serve and Tell, I reached out to friends that I served with and other Corps members, and the idea took off. They helped me plan Serve and Tell and get it off the ground. You don't have to be in NCCC or have served in NCCC to be involved in Serve and Tell. Just because there are a lot of us doesn't mean that it's only for NCCC. It just means we have a huge network. So if you have a huge network of someone else, some other program, please get them involved. If you don't have a huge network and you've just volunteered in your community, that's fine too. We want to hear from everybody. If you've never volunteered, but this sounds cool to you, that's great. We want to appeal to everybody and get young people involved. Thanks for watching.